Thanks for joining this episode of The Blade Boys, and Happy New Year! Myth,
Oh
it's good to
yeah,
see you.
it's good to see you too, Ted. How was your
So,
holidays?
fantastic. A little bit of everything. How about yours?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'm still working off my holiday hangover, but I think I'm good now. I managed to go on the ice a bit and like I kind of shake it off. So I've had a good New Year so far. So
Good to hear. Oh, look at you. You are just getting ready for the second half of the season, getting
I
like into training.
yes. I still need to sharpen my blades, but hey, like I ain't gonna do no Shaylin Bourne Victor Kratz hydroblading anytime soon. So who am I kidding? So
Yeah, yeah.
like I'm okay with dull skates for a little bit longer, but eventually I'm gonna have to get those puppies sharpened. But otherwise, happy skating season, like second half of the skating season, to everyone out there. And we had some exciting events and results that happened at the end of last season. We're gonna catch up on a lot of that. Like we were some busy boys, so we have a lot to talk about and a lot to catch up on. So for this particular episode, we are going to actually talk about the ladies and the ice dance disciplines in the last half of the season, like following NHK onwards, and we'll also have another recap of the men and pairs. So we should get right into it.
Yep. So, in terms of the ladies and the leading ladies of the first half of the season, and sort of who to watch and who to cross our fingers for in the second half, hands down, we got to give it to the new princess from Russia, Evgenia Medvedeva.
Medvedeva, as we
Med-
say,
our little
our little
Medvedeva.
Medvedeva. And I don't want to. I don't like to be an "I told you so," Mr. Ted, but I recall a couple weeks or a couple months ago that a certain Blade boy might have mentioned that he thought two Russians would be on the podium of the Grand Prix final, specifically Miss Evgenia Medvedeva and Elena Radionova. So I don't want to gloat too much, but here's the thing: that was actually like while I made that prediction, while it seemed outrageous, the reason I made it was exactly why what happened because these two are like really strong competitors, Evgenia Medvedeva and Elena Radionova, who we'll talk about in a bit. But she has been that Russian wonder kid. There always is at least one every season, and she has set the Grand Prix on fire. Like she lost to Radionova, but then she came back and shows that if she skates clean, like there is no competing with her because she hits all of her elements. She um, has incredible difficulty in both programs, and she shows like a lot of grit and consistency. And throws a couple Tanos, a lot of Tanos in as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So she won Russian nationals very convincingly, but also she won the Grand Prix final exceedingly like in exceedingly fine form
Yep.
with a huge win over the rest of the competition. And I mean, the judges. I will say this about the Grand Prix final. I don't know if the judges were like somebody had pumped Valium into their seats or something like that, but they were happy-go-lucky. They were ready to give some component
Big
scores to
scores.
people. It was Christmas came early. Like they were like, okay, they wanted to be the Oprah of component scores and just give out those tens and nines and like it was like I'm like, is this the Sochi Olympics? Like what is with all the crazy high scoring? But I mean, that being said, Medvedeva she totally deserved to win, and she really showed why she's a threat to become world champion. I don't want to say that quite yet, but like obviously winning the Grand Prix final is a great precursor, as we saw with Elizaveta Turkmenisheva last season, who we'll also talk about. Um, but yeah, congratulations to Evgenia. And then at Russian Nationals, she also killed it. And I mean, we're not going
Yeah,
to
I
talk
mean,
about the components there because we know when you skate clean
totally.
at
Yeah.
Russian Nationals, you go
A little
like
bit inflated.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean Medvedeva certainly she has this momentum and is building on it, and I think she's going to build on it into the back half of the season, in the second half of the season. I expect her to win Europeans and certainly be a significant challenger unless she injures herself
Hmm.
at the World Championships. The thing, although I find her the free skate, interesting and well skated, it doesn't give me goosebumps like some other real world champion threats, and I think that could be indicative of her age or the fact that she's a bit inward skater and focusing on what's next. And I think her speed could be a bit improved and similar. I mean, speed and positioning in some cases could be improved, which is unfortunate for me because I tend to like to see a world champion threat who really has the total package. But she ticks so many of the boxes of the elements and just gets the judges so excited to throw out the tens and the +3 GOEs, or at least a 2, that she's going to be she has been the favorite, and she's incredibly consistent. Her short program, for me, it doesn't really give me a great jazz. I think I mean the strategy is smart, right? Do attempt all your jumps in the back half of the program to maximize the score. For me as a viewer, I think I like to see at least one difficult element, like either the combination or the triple out of footwork, like really early in the program, to get that sort of off and sort of pull me into the program and give me some sense of confidence that, okay, this looks like a good skate. I'm able to, breathe and not hold my breath all the way till the back half, the 1 minute 25-second mark, to start to see some jumping going on. That's my only criticism of backloading all of those jumps.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And Kanako Murakami, she also did a similar layout a while ago. And it's interesting because obviously it gets you slightly more points. It's not even like a ton more points. It's only like 2 to 3 more points in base value overall. But it kind of establishes in the judges' minds that you're doing a harder program. And the short program is the technical program, so to speak. Like traditionally, it always has been. So, I mean, from a technical standpoint, it is impressive. But it is weird when you see a skater open their program with like a step sequence, and it's not
And a
like step
spin.
sequences are really short these days in order to hit all the levels. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of interesting, I find, because it's like this is my basic skating. Like this competition has started. This is my short program, and these are all my basic skatings. This is my edges. This is how my speed. And frankly, like you can hit better edges and better speed earlier in the program when you have more energy and more control. But yeah, it does sometimes in the second half of the program. It does kind of get like, oh right, I guess I should like start like doing some jumps now.
Mm.
But I think her projection is pretty good, and I think she of any. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily go back on this, but like I think of any junior skater coming straight into the senior ranks, she is probably acclimatized the best. It's helped that she's been consistent, but like, I mean, her her component score as being 72 at the Grand Prix final is exceedingly high. Like that's very rare, especially for like somebody coming out of like, and you compare it to her like component scores earlier in the year, and it's not like her programs have like changed a ton, and her like level of skating has changed a ton. It's her consistency, and you know, I always think that like even a junior level skater should be able to win a senior level competition if they do the jumps and if they have a a very competent level of skating. Doesn't have to be completely the best, but like hey, if you outskate and outjump skaters who are making errors, you deserve to win. You don't deserve to be held back. Oh, because you haven't done your dues yet and you haven't like gone through your rights as a senior skater. Need to be on the scene for a little bit in order to get some street cred and allow marks to actually go to a certain threshold. So it's kind of nice to see that the judges are giving her credit for that. And honestly, I would rather see a champion who is a little young and a little new and a little unrefined, who is technically a great athlete, more so than like I don't want to name names, but we've had like world champions and we've had like skaters in the past who have like won with like 5 triples and who have won without a triple and who have won with beautiful skating outside of that. And skating is definitely more than like jumps for sure, but it's also nice when you see somebody skate well and get rewarded for it. And I think we're seeing that with her. And another Russian we're seeing that with is Elena Radionova. And she had like at the Grand Prix final, her free skate wasn't particularly great. But at Russian Nationals, she definitely got it together and proved that she is definitely a Russian number two or number one. Like, she did beat Medvedeva earlier in the season. And you can see that Elena's body is still changing and she's still getting acclimatized to her jumps, but she is gritty as hell and she will always like give it 120 million% and
Yeah.
get it done. Like she is one like Medvedeva. She is one of those skaters that I can put my money down on her and I will feel secure in that. Like she might not always deliver 100% of the time, but I feel secure in knowing in watching her skate. And this makes me feel calm. But I still don't like her Titanic program. I will say.
What's funny is I don't mind. We've said this before. I don't mind the Titanic program.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
just
think
because we've
I
heard
don't
it
think
so
it's
many
the best
times.
piece. But also, I didn't love her long program from last year, so to me, it's relatively comparable. I think her short program is not terribly age appropriate. It's a bit too emotional and dramatic for someone who's in her early teens. So I'm still not. It's going to take me a while to warm up to that, or I may not because we're entering into the back half of the season. She though is struggling really hard on that triple Lutz. It's a low free leg landing almost every time,
Mm-hmm.
and that was her Achilles heel at certainly at NHK. At the Grand Prix final. She also struggled with it at the Cup of China, which ultimately lost her that event. She did some quick thinking in both of those short programs to tack on the triple toe at the end of the triple loop. And she's
Mm-hmm.
such a capable, talented skater and consistent and strong that she could still pull that off. But I think that she really needs to get that triple Lutz under wrap and covered, or she might want to try and experiment with the triple flip, triple toe, so that she is putting out a clean short program that's polished and that she can focus on the full presentation of the program and not worry about, okay, I'm not able to tack on the triple toe at the end of the triple Lutz, so there's a bit of a jerky moment and drop in choreography and facial expression, and then she's got to do something at the back end of the triple loop. So that I think she needs to button down, because if she doesn't, a situation which happened at the NHK is that a skater like Satoko Miyahara is going to capitalize. And Satoko has really, I think I said at the beginning of the season, I didn't expect her to repeat as a world champion medalist. And I thought the other skaters would push her down. Hey, I'm going to eat my words. She is, I'm not absolutely mesmerized by her programs like some people are. Her short, I think, actually it's quite compelling.
Yeah, it
The
shows more
long
fire
is
than we've seen from her,
more
right?
fire. It's not. I think her jumps are just so itty bitty, teeny weeny that they don't turn my crank. But she's getting them done. They're fully rotated, and she is so consistent in practice. When I saw her at the Grand Prix final in Barcelona in practice and in competition, like she seems completely unfazed. In fact, she looked really quite despondent getting her marks in the short program at the Grand Prix final. Like she now is coming to expect really solid short program marks that are pushing the 70 mark, and she's not happy if if they don't come up. So yeah, she's getting pretty comfortable in terms of her skating.
I actually thought that was totally merited for her to not be happy with that because like I thought she got underscored at the Grand Prix final. But she proved like there was no stopping her in the free skate. Like I think like she did get like the edge call on her flip, which was again under the stupid like edge call deductions. It ended up removing like 2 to 3 points, which would have actually put her like in like podium placement. I think it would have put her like in second actually behind Medvedeva, but she ended up second overall, so it didn't really matter. Satoko, she's a very elegant, precise skater. I agree, she's not as exciting to watch, but if you actually appreciate the nuances and difficulty and like quality of basic skating, that like she is a very introverted skater and she's a very detail oriented skater. She's not a extroverted like flair like thing, like she doesn't like reach out to the judge. She's not dramatic, right? Like, and that's
Mm.
fine, like because I don't, sometimes it can come off really contrived, especially for like a skater of her frame. If she tries to be like a sexy Carmen, it's not going to work because like she still looks like a 12-year-old girl, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but she has this consistency, and like I was going back to like who I would put my money on, and Satoko always has this stability about her. The only reason I don't always put my money on her is because she has a tendency to under rotate jumps, but that seems to be something she's taking into consideration, and she's very smart by doing two double axel triple toes because those are combinations that she knows probably I can get these fully around, and adding a triple toe to a double axel is not worth any more or less than adding it onto a triple Lutz. So in her short
Yeah.
program, she shows that ability to do the triple Lutz, triple toe. But in the free skate, if she's tired in the second half, it doesn't really matter because she's only doing the triple toe off her double axel, which is very, very secure. And that's always the impression I get from her. It's very secure. It's very proper and precise, and that gives you a comfort level, and that allows you to appreciate the rest of your skating because you're not always like is she going to deliver or not. Even if she doesn't deliver, it would be an under rotation, which doesn't really mar the program. It's like you can still see her perform and then have that like ease and that like knowledge that okay, she's going to deliver what she can, and then really it's up to the technical specialist to check to make sure her jumps are ratified.
I don't love that she does two double axel triple toes, to be honest. I don't think it shows a lot of variation in skating, and I'm waiting for the ISU rule to come out that that's going to be disallowed. And actually, I mean, do you know you tend to be the protocols and the numbers guy. Why is that allowed that you can repeat a double axel triple toe?
Okay, well, the rules for repeating a triple are you have to do a triple in combination if you repeat it. So that means you can't do a solo triple toe and a solo triple toe. But one of the triple toes has to be in combination, but this also means that both of the triple toes can be in combination if you want. Okay? So a double axel triple toe and a double axel triple toe right after that is perfectly fine, even though it's the exact same combination. And I think that's where you're taking issue, right? You're like, well,
So she couldn't do a triple Lutz triple toe and another triple Lutz triple toe because
she could do that too. Actually, Polina Surskaya, the junior Grand Prix gold medalist, who is also a very up and coming.
Amazing.
Oh, she has one of the best triple Lutz triple toes. I mean,
the lift on her jump, the arcs on and distance, and the run out. Exceptional. We'll be talking about her in a year's time.
I don't want to make the Koreans or the gold fans mad, but like that triple toe can compete with Miss Yuna and Miss Gracie. Like that is how much lift and how much confidence and how clean she has. It might not look as elegant, but like the athleticism on that element. But regardless, like she does triple toe and triple toe double toe. But she could just do triple toe twice. Like it's perfectly fine because then those are the two jumps that she ends up repeating, and then the rest of the four triples can just be done as solo or in combination with a double jump or a triple flip, half loop triple. So yeah,
that little skating seminar was brought to you by MythDOS. No, thank you. This is good. I'm learning as we go along.
That's okay. I was wondering that too.
I don't love it. I think it shouldn't be I think it shouldn't be allowed. I think they should show more difficulty and variation by having to apply it to the jump.
Well,
nonetheless, you're right. I mean,
Lipnitskaya did the same thing as well. She would open with the double axel triple toe, then a double axel triple toe, just to get that triple toe combination out of the way and like be like, okay, now I can do my 7 triple program because I've gotten my 2 triple toe combination. So it's another way that skaters can get triple toe combinations and then like kind of amass jumps in other different ways. But we can move on from that.
Yeah. So hey, Satoko is benefiting from that. Not loophole, but she's obviously executing what works well for her. I think the biggest dark horse going into the Grand Prix final and going into the next half of the season is going to be the American Ashley Wagner. Mm-hmm. Now she's had a bit of an up and down season, a terrible outing at the Japan Open, and then killed it at Skate Canada. Mm-hmm. And then struggled again at NHK, but then came back really strong at the Grand Prix final in terms of her long program there. And she's now really coming close, and she's pushing that 140 point mark for the free skate, which is exceptional. And she's exceeded 70 for the short program. So those are that is world champion podium sort of area scoring, I think she's got the total package when she lands the jumps fully rotated. She seemed at NHK, very unfortunately in the free skate, to revert to the skater of 2009, 2010, 2011, that two-footed all sorts of landings, under rotated a lot of her jumps. She just looked incredibly insecure at that event, which was really unfortunate to see. And hopefully she's able to shake it off now and not let it bother her. Her free skate at the Grand Prix final, I thought, personally, I thought it stole the show. I mean, yes, when you tally the points, I suppose Medvedeva has the advantage. I thought Ashley had exceptional jumps, great run out, huge confidence, and her artistry and performance value was second to none.
Mhm. Yeah, that Grand Prix final free skate was a huge breakthrough for Ashley. I
Yeah,
think she there was always this question of whether she cracked 200 points. Like it's always been, I'm sure for herself, a personal goal, and also mentally this like barrier that like you're trying to exceed this. And often, like when you get hit with like under rotations or downgrades, it makes it very difficult. And she's always been known to go for it. We have an interview with her where she talks about like, even in her short program, she acknowledges that had she just done a simple triple double combination, like she would have the bronze medal. But that's not the way she plays. That's not, which I totally respect and I totally admire.
yeah,
She goes out, she's in it to win it. And I think that the Grand Prix final really established that she is still potentially U.S. number one. Gracie didn't have a good showing at the Grand Prix final, but I still think that it's still a little neck and neck. I mean, Ashley has shown the ability to put together two clean programs. Gracie hasn't really shown that consistency, but I think Gracie has greater scoring potential.
yeah,
So it'll be really interesting come U.S. Nationals to see who will come out on top. And then of course you have like other skaters to throw in the mix, like Courtney Hicks, who ended up getting a silver medal at NHK, which was her first Grand Prix medal, and who is also a very good technical skater. And you have Karen Chen, and you have Mariah Nagasu, and Polina Edmonds. So I don't know. U.S. Nationals will like it's coming up in a couple weeks, and that's going to be some interesting skating. But right now, the Grand Prix final established Ashley as the one to watch out for. I don't know if she can make the world podium. I really want her to make the world podium. She's been my homegirl. I am so like I think Gracie has a couple seasons in her where she could like medal and maybe even win. But like Ashley has been around for a while, and she's skating as well as she can. But unfortunately for her, unfortunately for us, because we love seeing great skating. There's these Russian youngsters who are just like monopolizing those top spots,
yeah.
and you would have to imagine that like Radionova and Medvedeva yet again at Worlds will be favored to like be ahead of Gold and Wagner. However, like Wagner did beat Radionova in the free skate, and she has skated a 70-point free skate as well, and she would have beat Radionova. So it's nothing's for certain. But then, of course, you have Satoko Miyahara, and who knows if Mao will come back. There's all these questions that might compromise the American ladies' ability to make the world podium. But one thing is for sure, it's not over for like everyone keeps writing off Ashley, and it's quite unfair to her considering like she's medaled at the last 3 Grand Prix finals, I think, and this one, for all intents and purposes, she medaled. Like if she had played it safe, she would have medaled. If she yes, okay, she didn't medal, but like if she had played it safer, she would have medaled. So either go big or go home and come fourth by like 2 points, or play it
Totally, and
safe
she
and
couldn't
get
have. Yeah, the Grand Prix final, she couldn't have known when she tacked on a triple
Oh,
toe
of
to a double
course.
toe
Yeah.
how the free skate would unfold. And
She was
I
trying to
think
go
that
for it.
showing that she was going for a triple combination still in the short program, and then having just a lights out free skate, which she had. I think it really favors her going into the U.S. Nationals. Must give her a huge boost of confidence in comparison to Gracie, who's amongst the skaters who I think are going to be really challenged and who have dug a bit of a hole for themselves that they're going to have to try and skate out of in the second half of the program. I think Gracie is certainly amongst those skaters, as you say, talented, unbelievably. I mean, that triple Lutz triple toe that she puts on, she's not an under, like, there are skaters that we talk about that are under rotators. She is a rotator.
Oh
I mean,
no,
that
she
thing is
lands her jumps
always
before
bang
she
on.
hits the ice. Like,
Yep.
or fully rotates before her blade like fully contacts the ice. Like, that's what I love about her. There is
It's
absolutely no question as to whether her jumps are fully rotated, unless she like mucks up the takeoff or something. Like,
it's exceptional,
yeah.
and many of her jumps, when she doesn't double them or lean too far over on the landing, they're magnificent. And I think that her short program, certainly the first, I want to say 10 seconds, has me on the edge of my seat. The speed that she barrels into that triple combination with is, I think, almost unprecedented in ladies figure skating right now. So I mean, fingers crossed that Gracie can get it together, but it does. I got to give the favor at this point to Wagner in the season. I think perhaps Gracie's sort of saving grace, if I can say that, is that the Grand Prix final was over as of mid-December, so Gracie will have had a good, decent, like, 5 weeks to sort of reset, refocus on training. I'm certain that she and Frank put in tons of time at the rink at the Toyota Center over the Christmas break, and really rebuild for this next season.
Yeah, I think one thing she needs to work on though is that flip. Like, that flip, especially we saw it at the Grand Prix final, both programs. Like, it was, I don't know what the opposite of money would be, but like it really messed up her chances. Honestly, the error on the flip in the short program, the error on the flip in the free program. I think she even said, like, in the Kiss and Cry, like, after the short program, that probably should have gone with the loop. Like, her loop was pretty good. Yeah, her loop was good in the free skate. So that's clearly a stronger jump for her at this point in time. But she does want to show the hardest triple combination and then the hardest solo triple other than a triple axel. Like, she wants to show that, so, like, to establish herself as one of the favorites and doing the hardest content. But I think it might be smarter in her short program, at least, to go back to the triple loop, because I think it's not worth a ton less. Like, it's only like 0.2 or something less than a triple flip. And if you're prone to getting an edge call, as she has, like, you're gonna automatically lose a little bit of grade of execution, even if it's an exclamation mark, and that essentially negates the whole benefit of doing a flip over a loop. So you wouldn't really want to do that anyways. So she needs to rethink that. But I think come U.S. Nationals, she'll show a lot stronger side, and she'll definitely want to reclaim her U.S. title over Ashley. So that'll be an interesting battle to see.
I think, in the interest of time, and we want to move over shortly to ice dance, but have to recognize, unfortunately, difficulty at the back half of the season and at the Russian Nationals for world champion Elizaveta Tuktamasheva, and then both Olympic champions, Yulia Lipnitskaya and Adelina Sotnikova, which is unfortunate. I mean, talk about, again, what a deep field when the three skaters who have been named to the European and the world teams from Russia exclude the two Olympic champions and the world champion. I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I really hope as well that Caitlin Osmond can benefit at Canadian Nationals and the Four Continents Championships. I think she's another skater that has the total package. She's got the speed, she's got the artistry and the charisma. She's got magnificent jumps when they're on. And myth, we know as well that the ban has been lifted or is completed, expired for Carolina Kostner, and now she's a potential
ban.
Yeah, and she's now potentially coming back as well. I haven't heard for certain if she's confirmed for Europeans or not, but will it be exciting to see if she does make a return for the World Championships?
Nice. And of course, speaking of World Champions, we can't forget, last but not least, Miss Mao Asada, who had a surprisingly not so great end of the season. I'll say I didn't expect her to win the Grand Prix final. I had predicted her to be third or fourth. I thought one of the Americans would edge her out,
Mm.
or Miyahara, which was the case. But I didn't expect her to come sixth. I thought her artistry would kind of save her from that. Uh, she's one of those skaters that okay, she's let me say this. Mao is a legend. She is one of the best skaters of all time, but she is not one of my money skaters. Like she's not one of those skaters that she's going to go out and like she'll either kill it or she'll like completely flop. Like not like a Letitia Hubert type thing, but like it's kind love you
Yeah, I
Letitia,
hear you.
but you know what I mean, right? Like she can like Letitia could come first or last, but like Mao, she's again one of those go for broke skaters where if she makes errors or like gets the under rotations, which
Yeah.
you know it's prone to with some of her jumps, and you know with her fluts, she can get the edge call like, or sometimes she even like doubles or singles her jumps. Uh, Silly errors like that can really cost her, especially when you're going against clean performances from Medvedeva and Radionova and Miyahara. Like those, like as wonderful as skater as Mao is, you can't really compete with that. And same thing at Japanese nationals against Wakaba Higuchi, who's an up and coming, from junior skater. I think she was third at the World Juniors last year. I can't remember, but she's an amazing skater. She can reel off triple triples like nobody's business.
Mm.
So I was actually not surprised to see Mao lose to somebody other than Miyahara at Japanese nationals. But the great news is that she is going to Worlds, and she does have an opportunity to sort of reclaim her world title. I don't think she'll do it. I think she's a very strong contender for a world medal,
Mm.
but I think her consistency just isn't quite at the level of somebody like Medvedeva, who, like, frankly, would be my pick for like the top favorite. And as you mentioned, like it's really hard to stay on top when like you saw Mao Asada, the 2014 world champion, is struggling now. Elizaveta Tuktamisheva, the 2015 world champion, is is also struggling. Like, I mean, not to the same extent, but like I was very surprised to see Elizaveta end up so low at Russian nationals. I mean,
Same.
it's obviously a cat fight, and everyone can reel off triple triples like nobody's business. But I think finally, Elizaveta's like her programs or lack thereof kind of caught up with her, and the sparkle that she gets when she nails those amazing jumping passes was immediately like the veil was kind of lifted, and I mean, she can do kind of what Lipnitskaya did this season. Lipnitskaya did have some like moments of coming back. I mean, she was poised to like make the world team, but unfortunately didn't have a great free skate. So um, it'll be tough to see both Lipnitskaya and um, Tuktamisheva not at Worlds. But kudos to Anna Pogorelaya, who had an awful NHK program, but like got it together come like Russian nationals to like deliver two great programs and come third. Still not a huge fan of her Scheherazade program. I think it suits her, but I think as a program it's just kind of okay. But that being said, like she's so up and down, and I hate seeing Anna have bad
Her
programs because,
falls are her
oh
falls are
my god,
the worst in the
her in the
business.
kissing
I think,
kissing
yeah,
cry is one of the
I
hardest to watch. And Miss Anna Sareva, when her coach at the time was like, she would give like total resting like she would not hold back like
resting what face, man.
resting snitch face. I
Nice recovery.
mean, I said,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that Pogo personally, she's had such a difficult season. I think she kind of got lucky, and the stars all of a sudden aligned for her at Russian nationals. And I'm not holding my breath for her personally at Europeans and Worlds. It would be a treat, but I'm not expecting it. And I think you're right. I mean, Mao. Uh, I give Mao more latitude because it's a comeback for her. It was a comeback season. I heard rumors online that she was not feeling that well, sort of in the last few weeks or the last few weeks of 2015, which might have attributed to her disastrous performances at NHK and the Grand Prix final and the Japanese nationals. So she had a bit of a marathon in terms of those three
Mhm.
events stacked pretty quickly to one another. She's got some time now to really prepare for Worlds. I don't have. Is she confirmed for four continents, or do we
Uh,
know?
I'm not quite sure. I can't remember who Japan decided to send to four
Yeah.
continents. They did.
Nonetheless,
They did say. Also, I'm glad Rika Hongo is going to Worlds because that girl deserves to be on the world team. She's been shortchanged a couple times this season, so I'm glad. Shout out to Miss Rika Hongo and her little river dance performance. Like,
yeah,
I want to see that at Worlds. I want to see her light it up and get the crowd going because the Boston crowd is going to be like, I want to see a new Jason Brown, and like Jason Brown won't be at nationals. Jason Brown won't be at nationals, so like we need some river dancing going on at
this is
Worlds,
true. Yeah,
right?
maybe
So
this is true. Maybe this is true.
right, so that wraps up our ladies competition. Uh,
Ice dance.
we will, yes, we will talk about more like with like U.S. and Canadian nationals about like Chartrand and Daleman, who we couldn't get to, and some of the other U.S. ladies. But that was our recap of ladies, and yes, let's get into ice dance. So again, the ice dance at the tail end of the season was quite exciting. The Shibutanis, they ended up winning NHK trophy, which was amazing for them. I thought it was a huge breakthrough when personal best free dance score. I think it was at the time it was a personal best total score, and then at the Grand Prix final, again they ended up fourth with a great performance. I actually thought they got shortchanged by the judges, and the judges continued to shortchange them. I thought
Yeah,
NHK was a turning point,
I do
but
too. I do too.
still, I thought the American teams at the Grand Prix final should have been switched. I thought Chalk and Bates should have ended up second, and the Shibutani should have ended up fourth. Or actually, Shibutani should have ended up second, Chalk and Bates third, and the Italians fourth. Because I noticed the Italians on their twizzles and their short dance, those should have been like negated or something. Because he did one extra turn, and how can you have synchronized twizzles if like one partner does one more rotation than the other partner? So the
Yeah.
technical, like shame on and it was so obvious to be like that was an obvious error. Like it would be like side by side spins where like somebody does an extra rotation. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, they've got
unfathomable
some. Yeah,
how
they've got some. They seem to have some friends on the judging panel, no
that
doubt.
technical
But
specialist has some explaining to
as
do.
those teams were struggling, and there were some twizzle mishaps and so forth, Weaver and Poget, certainly at the Grand Prix final, reinstated themselves as the favorites and the leaders of the pack heading into the World Championships.
And I want them to stay that way this time.
Well,
So,
and they came out with fast, awesome new costumes,
mm,
to really step it up a little bit. He's got a bit more bling and some more sequins going on, a little less sheer, which I was like, but anyways. But their
say that to the
programs look,
Italians.
yeah, Bitter Earth looks just amazing. I mean, the free dance has really settled and come into its own. I think their lifts are real highlights of the program. I think the Italians and the Canadians are really leading the pack in terms of the lifts and the creativity of those lifts. And we'll see what happens. Now, we also saw the return of Papadakis and Cizeron at the French National Championships. And I thought both of their programs were really sharp. I mean, to me, they don't look like they have been out for the first half of the season, given her concussion.
Mhm.
They looked to me to be World Championships ready. I think some of their lines and positioning, they do sort of a back leaning spiral, which is exceptional. I'm not like I'm not loving their lifts. I think their lifts are a little bit ordinary. They're not real standouts, and
He's
maybe
not
those
the
will still evolve.
he's not the strongest lifter. Like he doesn't have the stature that Andrew Poje has. I mean, very few dance partners do. I mean, even Andrew being that tall for an ice dancer is uncharacteristic. But but I
But
think
he's beautiful to look at.
that's also that's helpful
That
too.
helps.
Not that Guillaume is like a sight for sore eyes either, but
No, I meant Guillaume. I meant Guillaume is
Oh,
beautiful.
okay. Sorry, I thought you were
That's
talking
that's
Andrew. They're all good looking. They're ice dancers. They're supposed to be good looking.
This is true, and they're doing it.
We hate them for that and love them for that. But yeah, like the French ice dance team. We're very glad to see that they're back. Our interview with Marie-France Dupré it showed it confirmed that they're working hard. They love their music, and it's a concussion, but it's not like that's a safety thing more so than like I tore my ACL or something like that. Like this is they didn't compete because they realized that they want to take their time. There's no point pushing. They're already world champion. I mean, like what's the like fine. They haven't won the Grand Prix final, whatever. But like, they wanted to make sure that they would set themselves up nicely for Worlds.
Yeah.
And at Europeans, this is when they'll go up against some of the other top ice dance teams, like the Russian
The
champions,
Italians.
like the Italian. Well, yes, the Italians for sure, who have stepped it up this season and managed to get Grand Prix final bronze. And of course, you have the Russians as well, Sinitsina and Katsalapov, and the new Russian, regained Russian champions, Katerina Bobrova and Dmitry Slavyev, who held off a strong short dance from Sinitsina and Katsalapov. And then the big surprise at Russian nationals. I mean, we kind of saw it like earlier on, but like where Ilinik and Giganshin didn't podium in their second Grand Prix. But man, like they gotta get it. They gotta get it together because like them and Sinitsina and Katsalapov literally did a role reversal this season.
Totally.
Where Ilinik and Giganshin they flood their elements, and that put them off the podium over behind Stepanova and Bukin, who I totally love, and I'm secretly kind of glad they're going to Worlds as well. Even though I do like Ilinik and Giganshin, I have a ton of love for Stepanova and Bukin. But it'll be interesting to see at Europeans what happens. But those are some surprising events, and I think once you throw Papadakis and Cizeron into the mix, it's going to make it really interesting. And of course, we have on the other ISU championship, the Four Continents, you have the other Americans. You have the Shibutanis we talked about. There's also Chalk and Bates, who had some really strong performances, but also in the Grand Prix final, they had like the Twizzle error. Like, I don't know. The judges love this team, and they seem to be, they've clearly established to everyone who they favor compared to the Shibutanis. Hubble and Donahue, also beautiful team to watch.
Love this
Wonderful team.
Love
They
this team.
scored a nice little victory over Bobrova and Soloviev in the short dance. But then the free dance they had an error, and
I think that short dance is one of the best short dances in the entire field. I mean, it is, and it just reeks of Dubreuil and Lausanne. I mean, it's intimate and sensual and gentle. I think it's just a magnificent skate and lovely. There's so many poses that they obtain in that program that I think are brilliant. I hope at U.S. Nationals that assuming that they skate to its potential, that it really is much closer in terms of a point threat to the Shibutanis and to Chalk and Bates. They're in thick to try and move up on the podium because I don't think the Shibutanis and Chalk and Bates are going to budge much in terms of letting them in there. But I mean,
they'll still get to go to Worlds if they come third.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed that that they'll hang on to the third place position and be named to the Four Continents and World Teams, because I think that team is just magical. And
that three U.S. ice dance teams at the Grand Prix final. That's amazing. Like that's incredible. And I think unprecedented. So I mean, it just really goes to show the depth of ice dance. And I mean, in U.S. Ice dancing, there'd always be one favorite. There'd be the Belbin and Augusto, or there'd be the Davis and White, or there'd be the Lang and Chernyshev, or like there'll always be one, and then kind of like the other teams that are catching up and then waiting for them to retire, and then they catch on, and then they become like really great themselves. But there's always been this kind of delay. It's never been aligned where you get three great ice dance teams.
Totally, they're all kind of bottlenecking up there, and it makes it really exciting for U.S. ice dance. So, I mean, for me, I'm really excited to finally see the confrontation, the showdown between Weaver Poget and Papadakis and Cizeron. I think it might be a bit too close to call. I'll be really fascinated to see how Papadakis and Cizeron perform at Europeans. I'm going to give the edge slightly to Weaver Poget because they've been able to have a full season, and it's had some ups and downs. They haven't necessarily slaughtered at every event, but they really set themselves apart at the Grand Prix final. They look incredibly comfortable with their programs, and they still have 2 more competitions
Yeah.
Canadian nationals and presumably Four Continents Championships before they even get to the World Championships to put more mileage on this program. So that really, that really favors them. Whereas Papadakis and Cicerone are still getting comfortable, probably even being world champions once they hit an international event like the European Championships. And then it'll be interesting to see what happens with that third spot. I think the Italians are a strong threat. Chalk and Bates are obviously in there, but some of the mistakes that they made, for example, at the Grand Prix final, indicate that they might be a little bit weak, or there might be an opening there. And the momentum that the Italians are on, and the fact that they beat them earlier in the Grand Prix series, could favor the Italians, or as you say, the Shibutanis are looking really hot this season. So I think it'll be a really interesting ice dance event at World Championships.
Yeah, I think so too. And yes, like Papadakis and Cicerone, if we recall last season, I think they were third at the Grand Prix final. They really turned it on at Europeans, like that second half. They showed that they can improve like 100-fold in a really short period of time. So like, while other teams, I would kind of question whether like they can get a whole lot better in the second half of the season. There is so much time between the Grand Prix final and Worlds. Like it's like 3 months. Like
yeah, true.
That's ages, especially if you consider the Grand Prix series is like a month and a half, like in total, essentially, like almost 2 months. 3 months, like anything can happen in 3 months, and this goes for all of these disciplines. Like, well, like even with the ladies, like Mao Asada can recover. I hope like Medvedeva can keep her consistency. Like you would have to imagine at some point she would like crack, but I feel that girl is so rock solid. And kudos to Eteria Tutberidze for like coaching a skater of that caliber. She did it with Lipnitskaya, but I think Medvedeva is a lot more solid, and her jumps are a lot more. They have better technique and are
agreed. So her technique is better.
So she might have more longevity. And then with ice dancing, like Weaver and Poje, they won the Grand Prix final last year, and then come Worlds, they ended up a surprising third. So like, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's very like rip your hair out because you don't know what's going to happen. And so but of course that's what we love about figure skating. We don't want things to be predictable. Unless I'm making a prediction and it turns out correct, then yes, we do want that. But
yeah, of course. I mean, I think it makes it exciting that Papadakis and Cicerone have not been on the international stage at all this season. So it'll be the first time that those three teams, the Americans, the French, and the Canadians, are all in one competition together at the World Championships. So that'll make it that much more interesting and put us all at the edge of our seats. So I'm pumped. Myth, unless you have anything else to add, I think that kind of concludes the particular episode of The Blade Boys, looking at the back half of the season for the ladies and the ice dancers, and making some predictions and some forecasts, and who has the edge, the outside the edge or the inside edge, heading into the second half of the season. So thanks for watching this episode of The Blade Boys. And do watch the interviews that we mentioned in our episode today, like the interview with Marie-France Dubray, coach of Papadakis and Cicerone, as well as the interview with Ashley Wagner. Check us out on Twitter and on Facebook. And if you're interested in more discussion, move on over to goldenskate.com, which always has interesting conversations on the discussion board about what's happening in this wild, wacky sport. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Ted Flett.
And I'm Ed Das.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.